All right, let's get it.
What's happening, YouTube? You're in here with the Avengers of Life Games. Two parts of us anyway. And I know some of y'all glad that one of these parts is missing and has been replaced with the part that's sitting over here to my right. It's my man T Streams. It's me. Larry is on his way. So don't get your panties in a wad. And then Larry is on his way. He's just out here fighting a good fight on behalf of all us people that want equality. T Streams, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right, man. These starting to be long days and long nights, man. I tell you, being on guard, being on alert, and just trying to stay focused because it's real easy nowadays, man. It's specifically right now to lose focus, to lose track, and get sidetracked on other things. So
Right.
so I'm doing good, man. No complaints here, man. Just trying to fight the good fight, bro.
Same here, man. Hanging in there trying to fight the good fight. And
Right.
we've got a star-studded list of topics to cover. The other officers involved in George Floyd, they've been convicted. They've been arrested and they've
Right.
been charged. So
Right.
we got to talk about that. We had another police brutality incident in the ATL, and Mayor Bottoms, she ain't having that. And
Yeah.
she handled business. We're going to cover that. We also got Amanda Seals getting real, and she quit the real. And she quit for a reason some of you guys have heard me and Larry complain about all the time. A lot of times when you work certain places or you're working on YouTube, they stifle what you say because they don't want to upset the apple cart that pays them. Well, we're going to discuss her. And in breaking news that just gives me the giggles like I'm a kid at Christmas, the governor of Virginia has said that the Robert E. Lee Confederate statue is about to get his ass torn down in Richmond, Virginia. Me and Larry have been saying for the longest time, much to the chagrin of some Anglo-Saxons, that if you waving that Confederate flag around, there is no way you can be sitting here saying you are about the love of the country, you are about the Constitution, because that flag is a direct terrorist that took on America and lost, and they know what it represents, but they just want to do it so they can be boisterous in the crowd and just be an asshole point blank. So I'm glad to see that go. So there are some good things coming out of this protest. But T Streams, let's go on ahead and jump into it. But first, everybody that's out there, how y'all doing? If y'all communicating with us, I can't see your comments. T Streams, can you see any comments?
I don't see him in here, but I do see something from Denise Jackson and Bud.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I see him. We got Trisha, Denise, and Vanessa. Larry's coming, y'all. He's just running on CPT time today, and I shouldn't joke with him like that, but he's on CPT time today from House Party. What's up, Denise? What's up, Vanessa? What's up, Buzz? And let me shout out my Super Chat Hall of Fame people, but I want y'all to know, because of how much money YouTube takes from Super Chat, instead of sending us money via Super Chat, send it to that link right there on the screen that says Cash App, $Life Games. But this right here is the Super Chat Hall of Fame. Check out my people. These are the people that have been holding us down. T Streams, Mike Willie, Buzz, Trisha, Howard, DVD King. I love y'all. Instead of Super Chat, hit us on the Cash App and save us all a little bit of money. T Streams, you ready to jump into the first issue? You ready to go head on? Let's get into it. So first thing we're going to cover, ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Money Mayweather is doing something good for a change. Take a quick listen at what my man is going to do.
So, I'm basically saying it come from all of us, because we all a team. So we give back. We have three for me. Probably even four. Three for sure. But I'm taking all of them.
It's no different from how everybody else support their own first. It's no different from how Mexicans support Mexicans, Dominicans support Dominicans, Chinese support Chinese, Puerto Ricans support Puerto Ricans. I'm a Black American supporting my people first.
When you think about what's going on out here in the world today, far as racism, it's a lot of racism that goes on in the sport of boxing. Because if I was a white American fighter with the same aura, the same style, the same pizzazz, I'd be a multi-billionaire. Racism still exists. When I, Mayweather, was flashy, I've been flashy for years. Dan Raphael know this. Flashy, meat coats. And y'all know I've been driving Ferraris and Bentleys and Rolls Royces over 20 years. All this flashy stuff I was doing. Oh, he's arrogant. Oh, he's cocky. He's this. He's that. He's unappreciative. But then you take the same guy that's in contact sports, steal my whole blueprint, and he go do it, and they praise him for it.
Mm-hmm. So if you didn't get the gist, Floyd Mayweather is paying for all the funeral ceremonies for George Floyd in like 4 or 5 different places. He has been very controversial to Anglo-Saxons because, let's be honest with it, he had a domestic violence issue. But there's been plenty of the others who've had that too and have been able to just kind of walk away from it. He's also been controversial, as he said, with being flashy. I can name you several of our counterparts that are flashy. And what we're arguing is, if you're not going to accost them for being flashy, then why accost us? And I've not really been a big fan of Floyd Mayweather, but I am a fan of what he's doing right here. T-Strings, I give it to you. You're in a boxing town. You do boxing as a hobby sport to stay in shape. How do you feel about what Floyd is doing?
You know what? I think it's I think it's a good gesture. I mean, the only thing I didn't quite understand to a certain degree the amount being spent, but I guess if you're doing 3, 4, 5 funerals in different states, and 9 times out of 10 he's probably going to do it big, because that's how he is. So when I saw it, I think it said it was like what 88,000, 90, close to $90,000 for the funeral expenses. And so it lets you know that there's going to be it's going to probably be some extra stuff. There's going to probably be some dignitary speakers giving out eulogies and stuff like that. And they're probably going to use this platform or this time not only to send off Mr. Floyd, but to also get a message or another point across. Okay. The outbreaks and the things that's going on with this particular event is much more than what happened with probably any of the other ones altogether, as we see them protesting off in Paris and several other countries, countries that George Floyd never even stepped foot in, but his name is now immortalized in these different areas. And so I think it's a good play for Floyd. Then too, it ain't gonna hurt him no way. So I just hope I hope and I trust that he's doing it for the right reasons. And you can tell by his explanation, how he got to talking about, hey, when it was him, everybody didn't like him. But when it was Conor McGregor, he didn't say Conor McGregor, but we all know who it is. You know what I'm saying? So when he spoke on him, everybody liked him and, praised him and all this other kind of stuff. And, but his words, actually go a little bit deeper than that, because it goes to show you, man, the level of hatred, man, that's out here, man. and is very, very thick, and it's hard for, it's hard for some folks to even be successful just because the backlash that they get from, from their peers and other stuff. But, at the end, to answer your question, I do think it's a good gesture. It allows them to have the platform, to continue the platform that they have now, to capitalize off of it. I don't think that these are just going to be no regular funerals, not close to $100,000. These are not going to be regular funerals. I'm sure they're going to, there's going to be some extra, stuff involved. And I don't know if it's going to be televised or any of that stuff. I mean, because we remember, George Floyd, he was just, he was an everyday cat like us. Now they did televise Kobe. All right, so if they televise this, then that goes to show you the reach, and the reach that they're trying to get to, what they are trying to do, the message they're trying to get across. Because it's not every day that just your ordinary Joe, funeral is televised, nor does it get this type of publicity. Now, it's sad that it had to come this way, and in the search for resolution or resolve for this, there's going to be some casualties. There's going to be some more. There's going to be some fall guys. There's going to be some scapegoats and stuff like that. It's unfortunate that that he had to be the one in order to push the dialogue to this level of the game. Because this is a conversation that we've been skirting around for eons, but now, like I said, it seems to have broke the camel back, because now is not only this country, but is other countries, and is multiple communities, and each of these states, and and they're not giving up, and so I wish I wish Floyd Mayweather well on this one. It was a good knock, and I'm not a big Floyd Mayweather fan neither, but and that's probably because I ain't had what he had. But anyway.
Oh, here you go. Now, my God Almighty, here you go, man. See, you were doing good, man. Yeah, everything was going fine, herky jerky. You was controlling that stick shift truck, and then you just got her stuck, man. What in the world?
Yeah. But he is doing good, man, and I do applaud him for that.
Yeah, I do think with Floyd, this is genuine, because he is talking about some of the racial issues he's had to deal with.
Yeah,
he is talking about certain benefits of privilege that he didn't get, that McGregor was getting. Now, right. If anyone can remember the Conor versus Floyd fight, Conor was getting pure T racists, calling folks monkeys and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
wasn't many quote unquote commentators coming out saying that they condemn the behavior, other than to say, oh, his rhetoric is a little inflammatory. If Floyd Mayweather would have called him a white devil or anything of the nature, what in the world do you think they would have said about Floyd? Yeah, so when we talk about these things that are of quote unquote white privilege, double standard is definitely included in that. And for that, I do think that Floyd is really doing this with genuine intent. And even if he's not, the way it's going to benefit these people is fine for me. And just think about who's showing up to the funeral. Biden is showing up to the funeral. Al Sharpton is presiding over the funeral. Steven Jackson of the NBA, who was his boy, is coming to the funeral. And then Malcolm Butler is coming to the funeral. And damn it, before the funeral arrived, look who shows up. Our man Larry, he going to the funeral too. The right, live one right here. What's good with you, brother?
Oh man, everything's everything. Little technical difficulties tonight. That's about it.
Hey, it's all good, man. We getting ready to get to the next subject anyway, and we'll let you be the lead on that. But first, I want to say thank you to Terrence and my homeboy Larry. Last night we had a conversation with an officer an officer who was willing to listen to all the accostaments that me and Larry have been through as Black men, and was willing to sit here and talk about solutions and listen to what we had as solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the road to getting permanent solutions. And we have got to continue to have more of those discussions. I'm thankful for all you that came out last night. Larry, I appreciate you riding with me, which you always do. And we're going to do more interviews like that, so y'all stick with us.
All right.
All right. Next
was a good conversation last night.
Yeah, man. We made a lot of people inbox me saying they really enjoyed it. They thought that some of the solutions we was coming up with are things that can be put in place. And I always had to say something to these people that hit me up by saying, look, those things are good, but you also have to get out and vote in your local elections. Do not continue to let Donald Trump and a man who's just as dangerous and probably more dangerous, Mitch McConnell, continue putting these judges in place so that when the local level makes one ruling that is in our favor and then it gets appealed up to the next judge, they just say, fuck it. Nope, not doing it. Let them go. It is so important that no matter what we put in, we want to have in place as a policy, ladies and gentlemen, it has to start with you taking this same energy, holding on to it to November and getting out and vote. And also, I might add, I don't want to be the granddaddy on the porch, but start voting in the midterms too. But Larry, let's jump on the next one. Here we go.
All right.
This is another police incident that happened in Atlanta to completely innocent people that didn't even have anything to do with the protest. Take a look.
You about to go to jail? Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? I'm not about to. Where you gonna go? Just drive on. No, got my man's right. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Go, man. You want to point that out? He can't go nowhere. He can't go nowhere. He can't go nowhere. Hey, give me an air. Give me an air. Hit the window. Open the window. Open the window. Stop the car. Put the car in park. Put the car in park. Put the car in park. Put it in park. Put the car in park. Hit the unlock. Hit the unlock. Hit the unlock. Hit the unlock. We're crossing American in the park. Let go. Hold on. Put him down, man. Put him down. Put him down. Hey, right there. Lift him up and move him back. Let's go. Hold him up and move him back. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Got it. Right there, all day. What happened? What was that from? Back here, we're telling him to keep going. He had a dude over the curb. One dude and he wouldn't drive off. Let's get that car out of the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I give it to the living legend, God bless Mayor Bottoms in Atlanta. Those police acted way out of pocket. I mean, we ain't even playing pool no more. How far out of pocket their punk asses was. Now, one thing y'all learn about me when I'm frustrated, so to the point of boiling, my jokes come out real bad. Now, I really want to say what I want to say about those cops, but I'm upset, so I'm not going to say that. I'm going to give it to Larry. I'm going to say thank God for Mayor Bottoms, and it came out today that she has fired all the rest of those cops too, all of them. And she is working on getting an investigation in place. If you listen to my guy Terrence last night, he said a good cop would have never done what just happened there. But Larry, I'm gonna give it to you.
Well, here's what's going to happen. They're fired for right now. Their union rep is going to appeal their termination. And they're going to get their jobs back. They're going to go back. They're going to look at the tapes. They're going to say, look, we were shouting orders. We were giving commands. We were in fear for our life that we thought he was trying to run us over. So we broke the windows and tased them because they're going to say all this. They're going to say we didn't use lethal force because we were trying to not kill the people. We were ramping up our force that we were using. And then they're going to review this, and after it's all quieted down, they're going to go ahead and get their jobs back with back pay. That's the way it always happens. And it's going to happen again.
Even in the midst of this movement, you think that's going to happen? And first of all,
no, I don't think it's going to happen like right now. It's going to be a few weeks later. It might be even a month or so later. But
did you see the size of the cop that was trying to bash in that window? I mean, who was trying to hit who? Was the car trying to hit him, or was he trying to hit the car? I mean, I'm sorry. Look, man, come on now, Larry. He wasn't even in front of the car. He wasn't even in front of the car.
Hey, I agree with you. I think that I think what happened there was completely inappropriate. I think they should be fired, but knowing the way things go, they're going to end up with their jobs back. Once all this is settled down a bit and it's not in the spotlight anymore, their police union is going to go and appeal their termination, and they're going to realize that these guys probably shouldn't have been terminated. That's what they're going to end up saying. And the city's probably going to look back and say, you know what? We can either face a huge multi-million-dollar lawsuit by these officers in the police union, which is going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, or we can give them their jobs back, And so they're probably going to give them their jobs back, and that's what's going to happen. So I'll tell you what I think really, when I watched that, what I thought really needs to happen. And I've been in that situation where I've had officers screaming and yelling and had guns pointed at me. It's terrifying. You don't know if one of those guys is going to just let off, because once one of them shoots, the rest of them just instinctually just start letting off too. And then your car's Swiss cheesed up, and then when they make a mistake, then they start making up all kinds of stuff to cover up their mistake and say, oh, he had a gun, or they'll plant a gun, or they'll say he looked like he was going for something. But I think when I watched this, what I was thinking is young black men, women too, but young black men need to go through some sort of training to learn how to deal with police officers. And I don't say this because I think that we should condone what police officers are doing. I say this because I want us to be able to live through the racist bullshit that we have to encounter.
Well, Larry, what more could that kid did? He done pretty much what you said we should do. He locked his door. He had his window up, and he was trying to go, but he got caught in the traffic of the protest.
Right. And when they were telling him to shut his car off, to roll his windows down, he should have done that. And I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm not saying that the cops were justified in doing what they were doing. I'm talking about the preservation of his life. That's all that I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they should have that they should have done what they did. I'm just saying as a person trying to preserve his life, don't give the cops a reason to assault you if you can avoid it.
I can only imagine that kid was scared as hell.
I'm sure he was. I've been in that situation. It's terrifying.
And Wow. T-Stream, I'm gonna give it to you. What you think?
You know, man, I think back when I was in a situation similar, man, and you know, it's almost like listening to the same record over and over and over again, man. You begin to learn that song, and it becomes that song becomes a part of you, and it's messed up because this should not be this should not be a part of our, you know, this should not be a part of our life.
Mhm.
Now the logistics behind the firing and stuff, you know, I don't know. It can go either way, you know. Um, I don't know what kind of, you know, the mayor may have some pull and may be able to put a snip in the bud on it. I don't, you know, I really don't know. I do know that one, if they was minding their business and they was wrong, then, you know, then it should definitely be, you know, it should definitely be looked at, you know. And the same thing here, you know, we had, you know, I'm out, you know, trying to get my little workout on, and protesters started, you know, they start coming out the woodworks and stuff like this, and you know, then no sooner than you know, police and stuff is everywhere. So, you know, I'm like, hey, we gotta let's go ahead and get up out of here because it's the 8 o'clock curfew. They, you know, they pinging folks you know, with those bean bags if they, you know, if they out here, and it's just a real big mess. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, anybody, you know, could have to go the same route, go through the route, and sometimes you just can't get around. And the cops are going to have to use some kind of discernment on who's the problem and who's not, and when to take action and what kind of action to take. I mean, you just can't. I mean, just common sense to tell you you just can't go and just start jacking with everybody because everybody not having it, you know. And some, you know, that just so happened to be a 20-year-old kid and his girlfriend trying to make it home. All right. Now, it could be somebody else with drugs and weapons in the car that has the I'm not going back to jail mentality. And they're gonna give you a firefight, whether or not they, you know, so I mean they have to use some kind of common sense and discernment when trying to sift through this. And then the crazy thing is that sometimes it seems like they it seems like they actually fooling with the ones that's not, you know, inherently a threat or anything. You know, the ones that's running, tossing, throwing and stuff like that, you know, they normally don't catch them, so they wait for the ones that's just sort of trying to walk by and you know get it
Because they're cowards.
yeah.
Yeah, they
So
don't mess with the ones with 5 gun racks on the back of the truck waving a Confederate flag. Doesn't seem like.
yeah, because they not trying to get that smoke either because they know, you know, uh they know that it's a fragile situation because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm gonna put it like this: at the end of the day, we we're not outnumbered by the police. All right, we're not outnumbered. We're just unorganized. And if we were organized, then our numbers would outstrengthen them, and then they would not have any choice. But you know, right now things are a little bit chaotic, and you know, a lot of people are reacting from their emotion, and that emotion changes every day because there's news concerning this situation changing every day that's going to give you a different thought. Just like today when we saw this stuff, you know, hell, we feel different about it today. We have a whole different emotion, a whole different kind of angry emotion today than we had yesterday, because now there's new stuff and it's still, you know, it's still evolving. And then no matter how much any of us, you know, just wish the shit would just go away and just would just calm down, and that one day we'll just wake up out of this bad dream called 2020 and life will be like normal again. But the truth of the matter is not. You know, this is the hand that we've been dealt. We have to deal with both the rewards and the consequences. Unfortunately, this has been a very consequential year for everything and for a lot of things. You know, it's just been one hit after another. And, you know, piggybacking off what Larry said, you know, with learning how to deal with the police. You know, we try to tell our son, you know, about it because, you know, he's 17 and really sort of like oblivious to a lot of stuff, you know. But the world that we have inherited right now, you know, has evolved so fast that it's unlike anything that we've ever known. And so we all have to adjust to this. We all have to learn how to deal with the cops, because, you know, when I was watching that video, I'm like, dang, they done already tased the man, his hands in his lap, and he's going through the motion of being tased. What what could have stopped them from saying he's reaching for something? He's reaching for something.
They did. They were saying, "Get your hands out of your pocket," and I'm like, "The dude."
Bro.
I was like, "The dude is convulsing. He's seized up. You have your taser. The dude's seized up." No, it's not. I mean, you're talking about going for something. The dude is literally being electrocuted. He's seized up. We can't do anything.
No,
you know.
Yeah,
and with every T-Stream, not to cut you off, but with all these powerful people seeing this, all the corporate people seeing this, they're all coming out pledging they're going to do this and pledging they're going to do that. Okay, we hear you, but we need to see it happen. Mm-hmm. Like, we cannot let this conversation die down next month, not even next year. Corporations are now coming out saying, oh, one of them said we didn't know it was this bad. And the first thing I said, well, how many black people you got working with you? You ain't know it was this bad. We're going to start doing blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, we need to see the receipts. Whitney Houston made it. We need to see the damn receipts. We need to see you putting people in places, letting folks know what's going on with us, and putting minorities in a position to hire other people so that we can get a feel of who we think is foolish doing this backdoor cricket racism crap and who's not. But my bad, T-Stream. I just want to get that point in with you.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. It's a jacked up situation. And you know, who was that? I think that was Tim that said that. And you're right, man. Any type of normalcy, man, we're probably so far removed from it right now that, you know, that when it actually do come around, you know, it's going to be a whole different thing, you know. And so, you know, I do hope that the narrative that's being pushed right now, I do hope and I trust that something, you know, we may not get all that we want or all that we are aiming to reach for, but one thing I can say is that awareness of the situation is at an all-time high. There's no one on the face of this planet that has the mental faculty to comprehend the English language that they can sit there and say with a clear conscience that they do not know what's going on. That excuse has been removed from you. And so
hell, me and Larry been arguing that excuse was played in 1979.
Yeah. So you're gonna still have that odd person that's gonna say, well, I didn't know that it was like this, because they've been in this white bubble or something for their whole lives and just haven't seen anything, man. But I tell you, I do think that was wrong. You know, I'm actually tired of seeing it and hearing it, because this situation right here, man, has changed everything. It has changed how we watch TV. It's changed what we see on the news. God dog it, social media is on such a rant right now that, you know, I don't even see it as fun anymore. You know, I'm looking at it and now I'm seeing a lot of the community coming together, and they're exposing these racists who hide in the dark and and say stuff on their page, and because because they're not public, their friends see it who do have a conscience, and they screenshot it and share it, and now they're shutting down businesses and exposing all these bigots and stuff out here. And it's no longer fun, because now when I open up my email, I get the Washington Post. So when I open up my email, my daily briefing is the first thing I look at, and golly, is freaking depressing. You look at YouTube, this is what you see. You turn on your TV, you get your breaking news or your little RSS feed along the bottom. This has changed the way we live, man. I tell you, 2020, man, when Kobe died, man, golly, 2020 was all. It was down the drain since then, man.
It went somewhere, man.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead, Larry.
I was going to say, one thing that I am happy to see is that there are white folks out there in the streets in large numbers, and not just that they're out there in the streets in large numbers, but they're out there in the streets and they're also getting hit upside the head. That there's cops shoving and knocking them down, that they're getting tear gas, they're getting hit with horses, that they are suffering a lot of the same indignities that Black people do, even if it's just for this short period of time during these protests. I'm glad that they're experiencing this. And I think that one of the reasons why we saw some of the gains that we saw during the civil rights era of the 60s is because there was also a lot of other, protests during the 60s when you had riots about the Vietnam War and whatever else they had. And there were white people out there protesting, and they were getting attacked by the cops. And it's one thing when Black people are out there getting hit upside the head and tear gassed and beat and bitten by dogs and all the other stuff that was going on. But when your son and daughter comes home and their eyes are red because of the tear gas and they smell like pepper spray, or their heads bleeding, or they have a chunk bitten out of their leg from a dog, you can't ignore that. And so when you see these kids, these young white kids rolling around, and they're getting gassed up and they're getting hit by the cops, and they end up in the hospital because some cops shoved them so hard that they flew into a curb or something. All these things are getting lodged in and built in to these white people's psyche. They're starting to understand and see the brutality of these cops. I mean, you're at a protest about police brutality, and you're being brutalized by the cops. It makes it so not only can they not ignore it, but it's being seared into their memory because it's happening to them. People like us, we have spent a lifetime of being traumatized. So it takes a lot more. It takes watching a dude be murdered on TV by a cop for 9 minutes because we have so much emotional scar tissue. It takes something that traumatic to really get through. White people don't have that scar tissue built up. It doesn't take a lot for them to really feel it. And I'm glad they're out there feeling it. I'm glad they're out there getting tear gas and punched and beat and knocked over by these cops, because it's going to affect the way they think about this moving forward. And I hope it happens more to them, because the more it happens to them, the less it's going to happen to everyone later on.
Right.
And the more that people see that, the more that people start to understand that this stuff that y'all been told to just ignore about what's going on in the Black community, it is real. The shit got real for us 400 years ago, and now it's getting real for y'all today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're right, Miss Chris. It shouldn't take all of this, but unfortunately, it is. So here there's an old saying that goes something similar to this. It says, you really can't knock anyone until you walked in their shoes. And this experience for them gives them an opportunity to at least feel what that shoe feels like sometime.
Right.
So while they're out there, they're protesting and they're getting in the mix. And then too, change sometimes don't come until it hits close to home, So, it's like the person in the suburbs that that don't lock their door and don't have an alarm system, but their neighbor up the street does, but they're living posh and everything is good. But it's not until their home is affected that they're like, okay, damn, I need this too. So sometimes things have to hit close to home. And it's odd how that works here, because it just so happened that the powers that be, the majority are powerful white men, in influential positions and stuff like this. And this stuff has to happen to them, to their colleagues, to their extended family. There's going to have to be some other people in their ear as well, as they're going to have to look past this old Democrat and Republican jargon and get to the core of the issue. And the core of the issue is that, hey, racial tension is high in the United States. It's been covered up and band-aided for years. It's been tolerated. All right. Now people are tired of just being tolerable. I'm tired of being tolerable to society. I'm a functioning part of society. You just don't tolerate me. Okay. And so these things have to, they have to experience this. They have to say, okay, damn, this is what that Black experience is. This shit don't feel good. All right. And now, I've said it. I think Larry said it, and I think Lamont said it. This is not a plight that we can take on our own, because if our white counterparts do not proactively get on the battlefield with us in this fight, then they become a part of the problem. Okay, so we need them as a part of the solution. We don't need them, because if they're silent, then they're a problem. If they're passive, then they're the problem. Okay, as loud as our voices are, our country has been conditioned to hear our voice and allow it to escape out the other side, and then just give us the kibbles and bits to put something in place here, a little bit something there, just to keep us pacified. Because up to this point, pacification for the Black person has been working. We look at the dozens of other people that has been killed. There's been talk and stuff like that, and there's been blackouts, and there's been looting in other places and stuff like that. So pacifying us has been the solution. Give them a little bit of this, give it a couple of weeks, everything will die down. Well,
right.
That's not going to solve the issue. All right. So now we have a worldwide platform. All right. And it circulated very, very fast. All right. And not only that, it also creates a problem for the White House for those countries that's not actually allies to us. Okay. So it played, this whole inner civil turmoil that the United States is going through right now causes a lot more problems for the White House than just, racial tensions. There's a lot of ramifications that's put on the line just because of this simple issue right here.
Yeah, man. But wow, who in the hell replaced T Strings with Pastor Strings? What? My man was throwing lobs up there today. I was about to start jumping up for a basketball goal. That damn Pastor Strings, boy, preach, Pastor. And before we go to the next subject, y'all be sure to go check out Shop Life Gains. Keep this movement going by wearing the clothes of the movement. Next thing we're going to talk about is something me and Larry and T Strings have all talked about, how certain platforms want to stifle your ability to keep it real when it comes to these issues that people want to run from. Someone actually quit their job because they told her, I don't want you saying something a certain way. Take a look at this. Some of y'all know this chick. I don't watch the show, but a lot of our women do. Here we go.
So my producer at The Real, one of my producers at The Real, my showrunner at The Real, we were talking when we were doing Ahmaud Arbery, like, when we were talking about that story, she was like, okay, so we're gonna talk about this, like, and she was like, but his name, Adrian, say his name, and Adrian was like, Ahmaud Arbery, and she was like, right, yeah, I just can't pronounce his name, and I'm like, you can't pronounce Ahmaud Arbery? First of all, the word Arbery is actually in. It may not be spelled the same, but it is pronounced the name. It's a study of trees. It's literally like in the English language. So it's not even like it's like some other, and I'm like, you know what? You know what's not in the English language? Your last name that has 7 consonants lined up against each other, and yet we are able to pronounce that. So I am.
Well, we gifted. We gifted. You know, we got it. But
yeah, so no, I was basically like, you need to learn this now. Ahmaud Arbery. And she was like, Ahmaud Arbery. I'm like, figure it out. But the reason I bring that up is because it is so easy to let themselves off the hook. Right. And I've arrived because my contract is up at the Real and I did not renew it because it doesn't feel good to my soul to be at a place where I cannot speak to my people the way they need to be spoken to, and where the people who are speaking to me in disparaging ways are not being handled. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a space where I can, as a full Black woman, have my voice and my coworkers also have their voices, and where the people at the top are not respecting the necessity for Black voices to be at the top too. So, you know, you reach a point, like even when it just comes to Hollywood in general, you've seen me transform into a way that I just can't function in this place the same way. I can't. They plant white beans in my toilet holes that you make moves on, because I know a lot of us do just for bread. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there is a luxury in not having to do just for bread. That is a full fact. Like I am so, I have gratitude every morning. I wake up with gratitude every morning that I found myself I've created a life for myself where I don't have to do things just for money, where I can be like, y'all can keep that out of here. But I think a lot of that has also come from like my own confidence that like I'll find the bread in a manner that serves me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. Again, it is a luxury, but it does also require.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was Officer Milk Dud from Power that was smashing Tasha, Terry Silva, and the young lady's name was Amanda Seals.
Go get good.
Hey, hold up, man. I don't want to be found in nobody's trunk. I don't want to be in nobody's trunk, but that's who it was. And she's basically saying they tried to stifle her voice. And me and Larry talked about this in length when I got back on YouTube after they banned me the first time. I was like, Larry, me being me is going to probably run some people away. And Larry, you know what Larry said to me, T-String? Larry said, Lamont, do what you want to do. You've got the money. You make your money in other ways. Let YouTube grow slowly. Be you. Be unapologetically you, even if it takes you basically restarting over and growing again. And that's what I'm doing. Larry, I give it to you first. How do you feel about her decision after 5 months to turn down a pretty good gig because she wants to feel liberated in her voice?
I totally understand why she did it, and I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, she has the luxury of being able to do that because she can afford to not need that job, you know. And because I guess if she's not in a position, and it sounds to me like she was strictly talent on that show, she wasn't in a position maybe to hire people, and so for her leaving doesn't do any good or bad per se. If she was in a position where she was able to hire people, I would say she should probably continue to stay there, bring some young people in, and hopefully try to affect change. But I get it. I mean, there's a lot of us would like to be able to leave our job that does not feel respectful to us, doesn't feel like a place where we can grow as human beings or as professionals. And a lot of us can't. I mean, we've just looked at this whole coronavirus thing where you have people who can't afford to leave their barely over minimum wage job at Best Buy or at the grocery store, and they have to go out there and literally risk their life to, to make sure that we're all fed and can buy our TVs and computers. And, and so for her, I think it's a blessing and it's a luxury, and we should all be so lucky, and I get it. I mean, I totally get it. And I hope that the platform that she lands on gives her the respect that she feels is warranted. And if she can't find that platform, I hope she builds that platform, so that she doesn't have to worry about going back to a place that doesn't really respect her. And I think that if you end up with enough people who are building their own platforms, whether they be on YouTube or Instagram or their own websites, I think one thing we're finding is that more and more people are out there just building their own thing. And I think what a lot of these people, a lot of these artists out there are realizing is you don't have to sell as much to make as much money. When you have, a record label or a TV studio or a movie studio that's taking 70-80% of the profits, you don't need, I mean, if you make $10 million, that means, you may have sold $100 million or $200 million worth of goods, when you can go on your own platform and you make nearly everything. If you want to make $10 million, you may only have to make, $12 million, and that's it. And so you have the freedom to reach your audience more directly. You can still make really good money. And for people who are already celebrities, they already have a large following online. It's a lot easier for them because they don't have to build an audience. Their audience is already finding them. Their audience wants them, so they come seek them out. And I think
Larry, we got two women that said they started watching The Real because of Amanda, and now that she's gone, they're gone. And she does have a YouTube channel for you ladies that want to continue to follow her.
Right. She's a stand-up comedian, and she's, so I mean, that's the thing, is that if there's enough people that are willing to walk away from that money so that they can go do their own thing, if they don't feel respected, then the people that are the powers that be will stop treating people with disrespect. I mean, I look at someone like Lily Singh, who is, for those of you that don't know, Lily Singh used to be, well, I guess she technically still is, a YouTuber. She was a huge YouTuber with I think she had 10 or 15 million subscribers or something, maybe more. She was, I mean, her channel's huge. And she was picked up by, I think it's NBC or somebody, or CBS, one of these networks, to have a late night show. And so it's like the late show or something with Lily Singh. But here's the thing. Because she had such a huge channel, because she had sponsorships and she had all kinds of stuff from her YouTube channel where she was already wealthy. She was already had a huge audience. They came and found her because she was so popular that if they ever decide they want to start acting a fool and treating her wrong, she can just simply say, you know what? I'm not going to accept that. Either you change it or I'm out. And she has a place to go back to. And now, because she's actually been on their network and has been exposed to, so many more people have been exposed to her, if she ever leaves, her channel is just going to grow that much more. She'll take a good chunk of her audience with her. She could just simply say, I'm going to continue this late show at home on my channel.
Yeah.
And just literally, she could be just basically pulling their ratings. Just say, yep, I'm gonna do the show at home.
And
hire her own people.
What you think about this one?
Yeah, you know what, man? Look, I say it like this. Anybody, like, first of all, the First Amendment, the freedom of speech is it should be changed to freedom of speech with a leash, because you really can't just. And there's a lot of platforms, jobs, for one, that you just can't, go in and be really vocal without, any prejudice concerning on what you say. So freedom of speech, really not freedom of speech. But I do commend anybody that stands up for what they believe in, and if they are given the opportunity, and and they are able to do that, then power to you. You know, it's hey, because everybody can't.
Can't,
Nope.
right.
And
Nope.
it's a sad thing, man. It's a sad thing, and it's heavy on the heart when you have to go in day by day knowing you're dealing with this bullshit, and you can't say anything about it because, hey, I got a family to feed, you know, and now you just gotta suck up that stress, you know. And so for anybody that's able to pump the brakes on it and say, oh, okay, I'm out, you know, screw you, and get on down, is one, it sends a message, and it doesn't necessarily blackball you either, because there could actually be good that come up out of this. Okay, yeah, the income from that platform may not carry through, but somebody else may come through and say, okay, we like somebody that's gutsy. We like somebody that can speak their mind and speak their opinion and stuff like that. And so a bigger or better door may even open up, you know, for her. And so, so for the people that can, you know, hey, power to you when you do it, you know, because a lot of people can't, and they want to, and they fight with themselves every day. You know, the average, you know, and don't quote me on the statistics, but I feel confident saying that the average person that goes into any kind of job, and you know, really sometimes just want to sit back and wish that they could just voice their opinion freely without consequence.
And you
But
can't.
yeah, no, you can't.
I mean, we've seen time and time again over the last several years how people will go online and they'll go on these racist Twitter rants, or they'll do something stupid like that woman in Central Park that went and did all that crazy. And people found out who she was, and they found out where she worked, and she worked for Franklin Templeton.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't tolerate any sort of racism or bigotry or anything else. And they fired her.
Right.
And so we have seen where people lose their jobs. So people get upset and they say, oh, this is wrong. I don't have freedom of speech. You do have freedom of speech, but you have to remember as these right wingers and all these people love to always say freedom isn't free. Well, guess what? Freedom of speech is a freedom, and it's not free. You can say it. You have the right to say it, but there can be consequences. If you work for me, I'm a black man, and you go and use some racist language, I can just simply say, sorry, I don't want you working here. You're fired. Hell, I don't have to be black. I could be white. I could be Asian. I could be anything. You could say something that's discriminatory and bigoted, and I can just simply say, we don't tolerate that language. And because now that I know how you feel, and because of what you said represents my company, I can't have that. And so people need to understand, say what you want, say what you will, just be ready
for the consequences.
Deal with the consequences.
Exactly.
And when people need to understand what freedom of speech and all of our other freedoms, what they mean is not that the private sector can't fire you for it. What it means is that the government can't go after you. That's what those freedoms are about. It doesn't mean that if you run around talking about the N-word this and calling people, you know, anti-Semitic words or homophobic stuff, it doesn't mean that a business can't simply say, no, we don't tolerate that. You're not welcome here. You're no longer welcome here. You can't frequent our establishment, or you're fired from your job here, or whatever. It doesn't, we're canceling your Costco membership, whatever. It doesn't mean that those private businesses cannot do that. It means the federal government can't prosecute you for it. They can't lock you up for it. That's all it is.
Yep. So from there, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to table the pop culture politics, and we're going to jump into movies. But again, be sure to go to shoplifegains.com. Keep this movement going. Wear the clothes that keep the movement going. So for those of you that have never seen Just Mercy, this right here. Warner Brothers decided that this movie was such a good rendition of what's been going on with African Americans that they are making it completely free right now for the whole entire month through a bunch of streaming platforms because they feel like this was a good teaching tool. So if you guys haven't seen Just Mercy, go on Amazon. I'm not sure if Netflix is doing it, but Amazon, you can click Just Mercy and there's going to be a button that says free. Go ahead and check it out. They want you to get it.
I will say this. If you plan on watching Just Mercy, maybe do it after you come back from protesting. Don't do it before you go.
Yeah. Definitely don't do it before you go to the protest. Do it post-protest.
Yeah, post-protest. Or maybe if you plan on not going out and protesting that day, watch it that day.
Yeah, man.
You don't want that on your heart before you walk out the door.
No. You liable to go out there and really do something, and we don't want that on our heart.
No.
We just want y'all to get educated on the plight we've been through.
Right.
The movie we're going to review is called Murder Manual, and it stars Emily Clark. Y'all know her as Khaleesi, the mother of dragons, the Fire Walker. Y'all know all that stuff y'all say in Game of Thrones. Let's take a look to see if she can make a hit somewhere else.
You don't see the sign? You don't see the sign?
Nope. Nope.
You ain't gonna watch because you seen white dudes chasing the black guy. That's why you ain't watching.
I'm not watching that because I value my sleep.
And for those of you that don't understand the synopsis, basically you have a gay couple that went on a vacay, all right, and they get in a ride share that goes totally wrong. I mean, it goes shit left.
Yeah.
And they get stuck trying to solve a mystery involving a little girl who's trying to give them clues, in essence, to point them toward the manual of how somebody got murdered. Then they have to try to find each other through some brother T-Streams. How you feeling?
Well, I'm telling you, man, hey, I am a horror fan. And I'm gonna give it a shot. It passed my litmus test. It had creepy little kids.
Yeah.
It had bugs.
Yeah.
It had man. It had people
Oh,
running.
hell no.
Yes.
Hell no. Y'all crazy.
T-Streams did it. T-Streams killed me.
T-Streams is on fire tonight.
I'm telling you, that's past the streams tonight, man. That's past the streams.
I'm gonna go ahead and check it out.
Oh, hell no.
It's something about the movies with them old creepy little kids. I swear, man, kids make some of the best horror films, man, and it's crazy. But I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. That's already available, correct?
It came out May 21st. Okay. It didn't get a whole lot of acclaim, and it's streaming on pretty much every platform except for Netflix.
Okay.
I'm gonna check it out too, man. I love Emilia Clarke. It's just that she ain't got no hits nowhere else. Can she get a hit somewhere outside of Game of Thrones? And I'm gonna watch this, and I'm gonna hope like hell she's gonna get a hit. But now moving beyond that, the only thing that was missing was a creepy old lady. That's the only thing that was missing. That would have made it full circle. We would have had some old lady with two teeth that was colored brown and black that would have made the thing full circle. But I'm gonna give it a shot with you.
Mm.
Marvel time, folks. Marvel time. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Check out the podcast. Subscribe to Larry's channel. Check out my man T Streams on his Facebook page, and keep the movement going by going to shoplifegains.com. Keep this movement going. Wear the t-shirt that says you're going to keep this movement going. Fellas, there's a Marvel character that I wouldn't normally want to see him, but he's getting a TV show. And I'm talking about Loki.
Lamont, hold on. Before you jump into that, let me just say one thing, right?
Yeah, go for it. Oh God, y'all.
Killmonger for life. Killmonger for life. I'm just saying, the true leader of Wakanda.
We go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all.
That's right. Burn it all.
that actually was a good clip that sort of caught him at a high point. Nice.
Why he grabbed the auntie though? Why he grabbed the auntie by the neck and throw?
Oh man,
boy, I thought he was gonna call her the B too, but I guess Marvel ain't gonna let him go that far.
Yeah, they were.
I thought he was going. I thought he. I mean, did you hear the bass in his voice when I say burn? I mean that shit. That was, boy, I thought he was gonna go ahead and finish the grandpa line, boy, because he was in that joint. But anyway, the character I'm talking about is Loki. He's getting his own TV show, and I said I really wouldn't care to watch it unless the show was going to be taking place in Asgard. I don't mind watching it if it was there. But, fellas, I found a leak. I searched YouTube and the web for the best leaks, and I got a leak on the show that might make y'all want to watch it like me. Let's take a look.
I've gone through this plot leak of Season 1, Episode 1 of the Loki show and tried to make some sense of it, since the leaker says that they're from China, and obviously English isn't their first language. But the original version will be on the screen if you want to try to make some sense of it, and I'll read you my version, which will hopefully be a little easier to understand. Also, I should mention that this could contain spoilers, so if that'll affect your viewing experience in any way, please click off the video now. And if not, then take it with a grain of salt, as although it for the most part sounds okay, it's very badly written and could easily be fake. The show begins with Loki in a TVA interrogation room. Special Agent Mark, played by Owen Wilson, is briefly introduced, and explains how they caught Loki with the Tesseract. He'll then tell Loki that he's actually from the past, and will blame him for everything that's happened. The actions of the Avengers opened a wormhole in the multiverse that the TVA have to fix, which they're now calling the Fault. I'm not sure, but didn't Eric Selvig talk about a fault in Thor 2? Might have been something else, but let me know in the comments if you think he was predicting this event, or if they're completely different. Mark then explains that the rift consists of 3 universes, which will continue to appear in the MCU after these events. There's the main universe with the Avengers, a universe with an alternative land, which might be talking about the Ultimate Universe that's rumored to be coming and could be how they introduce the X-Men, and lastly, a universe with a quantum catastrophe, which could be how the Fantastic Four arrive. Loki refuses to help and breaks out of his cuffs, running out into the hallway, almost making it to the room where the Tesseract is, but before he can touch it, time begins to rewind, and he finds himself once again in the chair. Agent Mark tells him he has no choice, and leaves him in the interrogation room alone with the files on the deaths of Odin, Frigga, and himself at the hands of Thanos due to his actions. Then we see Richard E. Grant's character, Mr. Mills, who will be the main antagonist in the show. He orders Mark to proceed to the second part of the plan and tells him that it is much more dangerous than him, and I'll explain what's more dangerous than him in a second. We then see a huge room filled with TVA agents who all look almost the same. Then they go over to a Mobius table, which monitors the Fault to check for new information. It's here that we learn what's more dangerous, a female version of Loki. It also goes on to confirm that there is in fact the multiverse, which we already knew, but it says that in an alternate universe, Loki killed Thor and is attacking New York.
I didn't care for Loki that much, but I mean, Larry, will this make you want to see a Loki streaming series? Oh boy,
I don't know. I mean, are they going to bring Tessa Thompson in there? I mean, who's going to be Loki? Is it going to be the same dude, or are they going to find a new dude to play it?
It's the same guy. Same guy. Tom Hiddleston is going to stay Loki.
Are they gonna bring Tessa Thompson over there with them?
For
You
what?
know?
For what? For
I
what?
mean,
Look, man. See, you always show your bias. When it comes to these females, you always show your bias. What the hell did Tessa Thompson got to do with Loki?
I'm just saying, she's one of the warrior chicks. She was, I forgot her character's name and all, but
she's the Valkyrie. And
yeah,
she's
the Valkyrie, right.
She is the new Lord of Asgard. She has no time to be dealing with a nitwit like Loki.
Well, like you said, you want to see him in Asgard, so maybe they can go ahead and start it off with him and on Earth, and then bring him up to Asgard, and then those two can go at it. I don't know. I like the Marvel stuff, and I want to see it happen. I feel like some of it, they might need to slow down on some of it, because I think the universe might be expanding too quickly,
Okay.
and I think they might need to focus on some of the characters and let people absorb it a little bit, but I feel because there was so much of it coming out, building up to Endgame, and then it was like this big release, and now I feel like we're getting a lot of information, and maybe by the time a lot of these movies finally start to come out, I'll feel differently. But I guess maybe part of the reason why I feel that way is because Loki just wasn't all that compelling to me. I just wasn't. Like you, I guess I just wasn't all that much of a Loki fan. When I think about some of the Marvel stuff I'm really looking forward to, I really want to see another Guardians. I'm really looking forward to another Guardians. I want to see another Deadpool, anything, X-Men, anything, please.
T-String, Pastor String, let me refer to you the way you have made yourself today. Pastor String, are you interested in the God of Mischief, Loki?
I think he was an interesting character. I may check it out. I can't really say 100% sure. I like Marvel movies. Marvel TV shows sort of bummed out.
Like DC movies.
Yeah, and DC movies, but their TV shows are sort of okay, and sort of like that. I don't know how close that is, but sort of like Larry was just saying, man. Hey, they stretched this out. We'll have a lot of things going on when some of these movies come around. Our AARP cards, our hover.
Oh my God! God, man!
Our grandkids will be having grandkids. And so
we'll be on COVID 25 then.
Oh my God, man!
Catch a movie before we pass from old age.
Look, man, if there's any truth to this rumor, if it's like this, I'm gonna watch it. The one thing, I feel what you guys are saying, but I'll say this about what Marvel is doing that I do like. They're taking the same guys that played these roles on the big screen and putting them on TV series. I like that.
Right.
I like that. That's a definite plus right there.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
That is the best way to transition, because I tried to watch that Agents of the Shield, and it had me for like a season. Then it just went haywire, man. And then they tried to do Inhumans on ABC. Forget it. Forget it. Yeah. But when you take the people that we've already learned, bring them on the small screen, then you sprinkle in some of these other characters that are already on the small screen, or these new people you want to add, then I think that can be the winning strategy. So
I'll tell you
go ahead.
I'll tell you the reason why I think that DC movies do better on TV versus Marvel is that the comics in Marvel are darker than DC. Their storylines, just everything is darker in the Marvel universe, and so it doesn't really transition well to TV, because TV needs to be much lighter and watered down, and DC's already a bunch of just watered down fluff and stuff anyways.
But wait a minute, man. DC puts out the best animated cartoons we ever seen.
They do, and that's why, because it's all they start with fluff and stuff. So with the exception, you're right, with the exception of the animated movies that they put out, those don't go to TV. Those are, those are usually direct to video,
and they are dark. They're gritty. They're good. I mean, they stuff good enough to make you break diets. And I'm working on cuts for the sluts. I'm working on cuts for the baby, and they'll make you break diet.
Yeah.
Ooh, you about to get cut up in there.
Hey, man, that's another way to get them cuts.
Yeah. You ain't trying to get them though.
No, I don't want those kind of cuts.
No.
So I'm gonna leave Loki right there. It
might not be bad though. It might not be bad.
I'm gonna give it a shot. Y'all, I don't have all this Marvel gear in my house for nothing. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
Go ahead, T-Stream.
It's worth a shot, especially if they're gonna use the same guy, and it allows them to develop his story, because I think the Loki that the Loki that you would assume from the comic books had such a bigger role than how they played him in the movie. He was in the movies. He was basically just a trick pawn, and this gives them enough time to develop a story, a story for him. And so it's definitely worth a shot to watch.
And I think the good thing is by bringing in the same guy to play him, it gives them the opportunity to bring in some of the other characters. Like they can bring in Thor or the
Falcon,
Falcon, the Valkyrie, any of them. They can bring them any of them in for just one episode or something, so that it's not like these guys have to worry about I'm tarnishing my cachet by going on to TV. They can just simply show up for an episode, dip in and dip out, and they're good. And so if they're doing this, if they're going to have a big episode for, maybe a season finale, or maybe there's some big mid-season finale or something. It could be fun. We'll see what happens with it. We'll see. It sounds to me like we need to be producing this damn thing.
No, ain't nobody letting you get nowhere near producing anything, because the only damn thing we're going to see is this.
Go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
Man, ain't nobody trying to see that for no 6 hours. No. Matter of fact, we're moving on. Be sure to subscribe. We're moving on to the financial section. The last
burn it all.
Don't burn it. The last segment of our show today is about money. And this is about what you can do to maximize the money you save. There's something called a Roth, and there's something called a Roth IRA, and there's a traditional Roth IRA. And I've got my man here. He's going to give you what the difference is and how you can take advantage of it to maximize what you're saving.
In a Roth IRA, your basket is what's known as free after tax, or I don't know how you want to say it, but you're contributing post-tax to it, okay? So you've got this basket. Remember, nothing happens with the basket once you get it. It's just a name that's on there. But what happens is you are making contributions to this basket over the years. You could put $5,500 into this basket each year. It goes up over the years, so sometimes it'll grow. You'll see it'll turn out to be more. But for right now, $5,500 you can contribute. Now you could do this every single year, and you could do it either in spurts of $20, $50, $100, whatever you like, or you could just do a big chunk. Now the idea here is you've contributed this money after you've paid tax, okay? So anything that is growth over the years that you own it, all of this, all the growth money there while you're working and getting ready for retirement, all of this is tax-free, okay? So you've got tax-free on all the growth. Now you already contributed the money after tax, so this is tax-free as well, okay? So just think of a Roth IRA as you're paying the taxes up front. Now, that might be beneficial to you because you're younger and maybe you're in a lower tax bracket. If you can contribute money and a lot of it now while you're younger, it hasn't been taxed as much. See, when you're in your 40s and you're making a lot of money, now you're going to contribute the same $5,500, but the buying power has been reduced because you've paid a lot more money. Hopefully you have a better job, you're making more money. So that's the Roth IRA. In a traditional IRA, remember it's the same basket, everything else is the same. Drop my marker there. And you're gonna be contributing the same amounts, okay? So over the years, you put in the same $5,500 each year, of course. Do it however you like, same rules there. And then the money that's growing on this is what's known as tax deferred. So you're not gonna pay taxes along the way, you're gonna pay taxes when you start to pull it out, okay? So this is tax deferred, all your earnings, and then what you've contributed there, that's also tax deferred. So for the most part, you are not paying any taxes until you start to take it out in retirement. Now that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. If all of this money is growing without being taxed, then theoretically it should be able to grow to a larger amount. Here's the thing. If you plan on working into retirement and you have a good job and you're in a higher tax bracket, well, this money is going to get taxed at the same amount as your income tax, which could be a lot. Now, you don't have to take money out of this until you're 70 and a half. So, you don't have to touch it right away. So the real question for you is, do you want a Roth? Do you want a traditional IRA?
Fellas, questions, concerns, T-Streams. I'm going to give this one to you first. What did you learn about a Roth versus a traditional Roth?
Well, I was, just from my knowledge of them, I've never really been me personally, I've never been a big fan of the traditional IRAs. And he explained the exact reason due to how it's taxed, because it's not taxed at the value of the tax as it would be when you're putting it in.
Right.
It's taxed at a whole different bracket when you're pulling it out, and most people are pulling it out at the time they mostly need it. Now, if you're using a small portion, if you're using a small portion to diversify your portfolio, then I can somewhat see it. I don't have one. I have no interest in it. In the traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other ones, those to me, I think are a little bit better. All right. And I think for someone that's working into their older ages, that's going to want to pull that money out, is likely going to want to pull it out without having to worry about the burden of tax. And I think that's why he said that you can do it in, smaller increments, because, normally your paycheck is already taxed at whatever the depending on your personal tax bracket. And so what you're contributing to that is what's actually left over. Okay. Right. So you're contributing out of your living expenses. So for me, the Roth IRAs is the way to go. I think using those, getting them started early, and contributing regularly would probably be the better way for you to go, instead of trying to kick up a traditional IRA, especially if you're already in your like me in my mid 40s. If you're in like your mid 40s, your 50s, I don't think that would be, now I'm not no expert financier, but I don't think that would be the most wise choice to use, unless you just simply using it to add diversity to your already existing portfolio. I think it defeats the purpose trying to start one at 40, 45, 50, 55 years old, the traditional one, because by the time you put into it, and then you get your increases, and then try to pull after retirement, you're going to be like, damn, why did I even put this in here? Why did I even do this? So that's my personal opinion. Roth IRAs for me has always been the way to go. Excuse me. I think I was just calling. I think my son pulled up. I got to move my car. But yeah, for me, Roth. Let me put that on mute.
Yeah. Larry, I will give it to you now. It looked like his Roth just got withdrawn from.
These streams doing the most.
They got my man.
Nah, my son just rolled in. I'm gonna go move my car.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
So are you now, Larry? What you think about the two forms of Roth? And there is a third that I'll mention when you're done.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one I have now. I mean, I've had like some of the traditional ones that were started from companies, when you work for a particular company, and then they contribute, and you contribute a certain amount and they match and all that, and then eventually my financial advisor rolled those over into, I believe it was rolled over into a Roth. I mean, there, like the guy in the video was saying, there's advantages to both. I think it just depends on what your financial situation is. And also some of it is, whatever your financial situation today is may not be the same in 15 or 20 years, and there are things that you can do with your IRAs that, for instance, let's say you want to buy a house. You can withdraw money out of your IRA tax-free if it's going towards a primary residence. So you can either withdraw tax-free, or you can borrow against it tax-free. There's a lot of different stuff that you can do with them. There's all kinds of financial shenanigans that people can play, or there's a lot of different, I don't want to call them shenanigans. There's a lot of different things that you can do with these financial instruments if you know how to do them. And if you don't know how to do them, if you have a financial advisor, they should know how to do them. And if you get a financial advisor, make sure they're a fiduciary, so that they are not screwing you over.
Explain to them what fiduciary means. I know, but for those that don't know, what does that duty mean?
It means that their primary function is to serve you first, and not the interest of themselves or their firm. So you want to make sure that their primary function is to preserve your wealth, to make you money, and to make sure. And I'm not going to say that I know all the ins and outs of it, but from my understanding of it, it is that their primary function is to prioritize you and service to you over them making money and making their firm money. So even if there's something that they want to do with your money, but it may be good for the company and not good for you, as a fiduciary, they cannot do that.
And if you catch them doing it, the lawsuit is simple and easy and has been done over and over again with people in the financial sector.
All right. Yeah. So, and not everybody is. So not, some people are financial advisors that are not fiduciary, and they have, people want things for different reasons. Some people have, because they have a certain amount of money that they can play with, they have a much higher risk tolerance, and some of those risks, really pay off. If you're willing to take some of those really high, to put your money with someone who's really going to take a lot of risk, they could lose it all, or they could triple your money. I mean, it's just, but if you're a normal everyday person who's going to work and you're contributing money into a retirement plan, you want to make sure the person that's managing your funds has your best interest at heart and not the best interest of their firm.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing my man didn't mention is that when you're doing a Roth IRA, if you're older than 50, you can contribute $7,000 a year once you get past 50. But the other thing he didn't mention is there are income limits to doing a Roth IRA, not the traditional, but the Roth. So if you're single and in 2020 you make $124,000 or better, you're not even supposed to be doing a Roth. You're supposed to do a traditional. And if you're married, filing jointly, and you make 196 or better, you're not supposed to be doing a Roth IRA. You're supposed to do traditional. However, because I am that person that Larry is talking about that knows financial shenanigans, I do know a way to get around that. There is something you can do called a self-directed IRA. And with that, you can, no matter what your income is, as long as you have some kind of a side hustle or you have 1099 money or K1 money, you can put up to $55,000 of that money in there, and then you get it tax-free later on, just like a Roth. Just like a Roth. So if you're someone who's in a high income bracket, if you get a 1099 somehow, some way, or if you get a K1 somehow, some way, or if it's all just income based, start a self-directed IRA. Go and just start doing something simple like delivering groceries for somebody for a day or drive Uber for a day so that you can take $55,000 a year and put it into something that's going to get you back at least 8%, which is a self-directed IRA. Simple as that. I know all about them, Doesn't take, but it's one piece of paper you fill out, and you gotta give it your tax information, and then you run from there. And that way you can stuff a whole lot of money. And it's great for someone who maybe didn't make money in their 20s and they're trying to recover now. That is a great vehicle to make money. And then, of course, this channel is big in the stocks. This channel is big in the real estate. This channel is really big in making sure that you do all the fine things to take care of your family and your financial household first before you start venturing out doing all these other things. But we're going to keep you posted. We're going to definitely do that. And it looked like Pastor Streams done came back.
He's back.
Hallelujah.
Well, Pastor Streams, we done. We done for the night, man. We done. That's all I got to say to the people tonight.
Okay.
So I'll give you the last word because we don't want no more things happening. You be done disappear before you get the last word in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Okay. So, man, we had we actually had a pretty eventful show tonight, man.
Yeah.
So we gave it to you guys on the trending events. We gave it to you on the movies and the streaming stuff, and of course the finances. So my thing is, I hope that you guys are able to take something with you. We may not always agree on things. Sometimes I don't think all three of us agree on everything, but if you're able to just take something, because we're giving you some gems. And the weird thing about it is that a lot of these things that we're saying it's almost like I'm not saying that we're prophets or anything like that, but a lot of things we say, a lot of things we've either spoken them into existence, or we gave you all some good forewarning. All right, so you can definitely get some gems from here. With that said, you guys continue to be safe out there. With the protesting, these miniature riots, some cities getting the National Guard called in, and and so we don't want you guys to get caught up. I don't know if any of you are out with the protesters and stuff like that, but I don't want to see your face on one of those videos where they're looting TVs off a train or anything. So yeah, so continue to be aware, alert, fight for the cause in civilized manners. There's there's the crew that's going to keep everything crunk and hyped and all this other kind of stuff, and then there's going to be a need for the people to think with common sense and to be able to move and push the agenda forward. Remember both sides. Remember both sides of the fence. As this continue to go on, some of you may be in the position that I'm in, whereas is very disturbing. But if you have people that follow you or they're friends with you on Facebook or social media and stuff, the current events of our world is pulling the biatch out of a lot of people, and we're seeing the horns of racism come up. I saw some statements from some people that I thought that I was like, cool with it for a long time, and I'm like seeing this, and in my head was like, damn, if I knew that you thought like this a long time ago, I should have bitch smacked you a long time ago. But is we have to, a lot of this stuff right here is exposing a lot of people. So don't be surprised if you see it. Okay, racism run deep. Okay, it's a lot different from being prejudiced on things. Racism runs deep, and it's a condition. It's not only a condition of the mind, it's a condition of the heart as well. So don't be surprised if you see it. With that being said, go back, check out some of the videos, and especially on the stock tips if you're trying to get that bread. We all like that bread, because been dropping some gems on that. So if you've been following the tips on there, at least over the last month or so, you would have made some nice little money and would have some pretty nice dividends coming up soon. So so we not here just blowing smoke and just laughing and cackling and frowning when we see things that we don't like. I mean, we giving it to you real. All right.
Yeah. Larry's on you. And that was Pastor Streams right there, ladies and gentlemen. We might have to summons him up twice a week.
Oh man. I'll say that I've heard a lot of people running around talking about the looters and how the looters are distracting from the message, and Trump has been out there talking about Antifa and saying wants to declare Antifa a terrorist group. But what I've also not heard many of the news people talk about is how you have a lot of these white supremacist groups out there that are starting stuff, they're breaking stuff, they're posing as protesters, and they're out there causing destruction. People have taken photographs and video of them, and they have matched them up with photos and videos from people that are from groups like the Boogaloo. I think they're like the Boogaloo Boys and the Proud Boys and all those other Europa, all those other white supremacist groups, and they're out there posing as protesters, and they're causing destruction, trying to ruin the name of trying to ruin what is a good protest and a good movement, and also with Antifa. In regards to Antifa, I'm just gonna put this out there. It's not gonna be something that's people probably not gonna like it. I have no problem with Antifa. Period. I've been out at protest. They've been around. Antifa has been around for a long time. Whether they've gone by the name Antifa or when I was around back in the day and I was at some of these protests and people just called them anarchists, I saw that, how I thought it was funny how anarchy is supposed to be this mass chaos and no organization. These dudes were always organized. They always were out there. They were able to communicate with each other. They did tear stuff up. They did light fires. But they did stuff strategically. It wasn't like they were out there burning down some little grandma's dry cleaner, some black dudes, barbecue shop, or they weren't doing that stuff. They were hitting the big stores. They were targeting things. And I guess I just don't have a problem with that, because as a Black person who has seen the way things have gone in this country for decades, and know that if you do not give them the stick, they will not accept that carrot. And when I look around now and I see police officers taking a knee, when I see mayors taking knees, when I see all these people out there that were calling for the head of Colin Kaepernick now taking a knee, they're doing that because they see what the alternative is. They see that when you have millions and millions and millions of people in the streets all over this country and all over the world, and then when you start to see some of those protests get violent and some of them start to get destructive, they realize if they don't take that carrot, they are going to have to deal with the stick. And so I don't have problems with people that are wielding that stick. If that's what that is just unfortunately a consequence of the way the white supremacist system in this country works. And if we're not willing to carry that stick, they won't accept the carrot. So you have two hands, you put both, one in one and one in the other. If they're not willing to take if they're not willing to take that carrot with your right hand, then you whack them with that stick in your left. That's just the way it has to be.
Well, to chime in on what he's saying, power never wants to relinquish itself. And the way this country has been established, there's a certain thread of power that the average minority has to go through in order to have half of what our counterparts have. Having said that, I want you to go to shoplifegains.com, wear the t-shirt to keep the memory of this movement going. I can't breathe. This is why. So the next time someone looks you in your face and say, why was he taking a knee, when we know good and damn well they knew why he was taking a knee, you can point to that and say, this is why. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe. Go check out Larry's channel. Go check out my man T-Stream's Facebook. We will be back on Friday night at 9. And until that next sexy as hell video, we'll see you.
Peace.